clashes between the legislature and the executive have unfortunately found sad expression in the consideration of key lawmaking and policy implementation issues, from the 2018 appropriation bill to the election sequence debate, and also to the consideration of the INEC budget. The arguments have been as myriad as they are profound. Today we get an insider's thoughts on these issues on Fireworks, your preferred Hard Talk interview program on TVC. I am Kola Samuel Wemimo. Let's take a moment.
Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks on TVC. Today my guest is the Senator representing Taraba Central and the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Science and Technology, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. Thank you for your time, sir. Yeah. Thank you for receiving us. Let's start with the current political atmosphere. Some events have happened in quick succession. The reported siege on the residences of the leadership of the Senate, Senate President and his deputy, the National Assembly invasion, the reported blockade of their convoys on the day of the defection of the 14 senators from the APC to the PDP, and 37 House of Representatives members from the PDP to the APC. Give us a sense of what you believe is the remote cause or causes of these events.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This is democracy, and it is a growing democracy. And don't forget that Nigeria had the most part of its leadership in this country under military. So there's a military hangover. We have come into this period in a form of learning process, how we are going to dissolve all this militancy, all these infractions in terms of administrations, all these impunities, that have been happening in the past. So it is a gradual process. We will see it, reducing as we go along.
You're speaking in parables. Let us have specifics. What is the reason for the disaffection of the PDP senators? Who's refusing to give what? Are they mired? Are these issues mired in the disagreements over the 2018 budget? Let's have concrete things that Nigerians can go home with from this.
Well, first of all, in the Senate, we have been working in a very, very harmonious relationship between the senators. And the senators, believe that for Nigeria to go forward, we need to work together. We need to imbibe the practice of presidential system of government, where there will be checks and balances between the parliament and the executive. So we have been working in harmonious relationship. So
that's
yes,
debatable.
we do. How is it debatable?
There's the current argument over whether there was an agreement or not that the National Assembly should reconvene in order to consider the INEC budget as requested by the executive.
Yes. But is that lack of harmony?
Yes, because the leadership of the National Assembly says there was no agreement, and there are reports that APC senators, which you belong, the group which you belong to, intend to write to the National Assembly, the national leadership, to reconvene so that you can consider the INEC budget. So
that is not lack of harmony. Now, where there are some very, very important public issues, certainly, the Senate should be able to convene. Lack of convening or reconvening of the Senate does not mean that, the senators, are not in harmony with one another, or there's a breakup between APC and PDP.
On the day of the historic defection, there were chants of APC has failed, APC has failed. These videos are all online.
But how did APC fail?
And these are lawmakers who are in the National Assembly. So evidently, you're not speaking with one voice. The red and green chamber, are divided within and across.
Well, I will talk about Red Chamber because that's where I belong to. And you see, this thing that we are saying between PDP or between APC, first and foremost, we have to understand how harmonious we have been working through.
So you refuse to acknowledge the problems bedeviling?
No, what I'm saying, the problems are in the evolving...
And of course the legislature and the executive are arms of government.
Institutionally, there are no problems. The problems are personalities. That's where the problem is.
Which personalities?
Good. Now the personalities operating the parliament or leading the parliament, and the personalities, you know, are in the executive side of government.
So specifically, what reservations do you have, since you would rather speak to the Red Chamber which you belong to?
Yeah.
So what reservations do you have about the personality leading your Red Chamber?
Well, not that I have any reservation. What I'm saying is a communication gap. It is what we call it. It is, you know, when new people come to meet, of course they need to study one another, they need to understand one another, they need to know the disposition of one another, and that is what is happening. I don't have any reservation.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, all right, let's make progress. Tell us about the reported impeachment plot that was being designed prior, or maybe hours before the siege of the National Assembly by operatives of the DSS and the police.
Well, I'm not aware that, you know, senators met to impeach anybody. What the senators met to do was to look at things in the national perspectives. Now, there is a budget environment, there's INEC that need to be considered, budget of INEC that need to be considered, you know, and I think these are two fundamental issues which, you know, we do not have time. So what we are saying that even though we have, we are on research, I think we should reconvene and then consider this, even if it's for a day or two, and then go on our summer research.
Were you part of that nighttime plot to impeach Senate President?
It was not a plot. It was not a plot.
So
it was a meeting of a caucus.
So there was a meeting to consider his impeachment?
No.
Of 30 senators?
No.
At Aso Drive?
No. There was meeting of APC caucus, but it was not a plot.
Is it true that there are impeachment notices being signed by senators where they are collecting signatures, which was supposed to be presented on the day of the said siege before the invasion took place and the impeachment plot failed?
How many senators of APC do we have? We have 53, 54. Are they two-thirds? We are Democrats. We don't want to we don't want to upstage or you know, take the political temperature into boiling point in this country. So whatever we are going to do, just like what Mr. President has said, he has come as a democratic president, democratic elected, and he's going to follow democratic process, rule of law in whatever that need to be done. Is it
also true, as alleged by one of the PDP senators, that the consciences of APC senators are being commercialized so that they can get the required number of signatures to get the Senate President impeached?
Commercialized by who?
Inducement.
By who?
Some are collecting money to the tune of 100 million naira.
From where?
Are these
from where? It is not true.
From the leadership of your party?
I am one. Have I collected anything?
You are a core loyalist of the president.
I am very core loyal to President Muhammadu Buhari.
So it will be difficult to get you in on a plot to impeach the Senate President.
Why should it be a plot? Why should it be a plot? It shouldn't be a plot at all. If the Senate President has done something that is wrong, that need to be impeached, of course I will support the impeachment of the Senate President, just like any other senator, you know, in the 8th Assembly.
And you have said in some quarters that you would even get the PDP senators from your own state into this impeachment, well, constitutional impeachment plot. You have said that. Do you deny that?
I'm the only APC, senator in Taraba State. And the government in Taraba State is PDP. I would be very, very happy to convince my co-senators to come and join us in APC.
Would you be in on the constitutional means of impeaching the Senate President?
If he has done wrong.
Are you afraid of being witch hunted? That's
no.
why you're...
Why should I be witch hunted? I said if the President of the Senate is found to have done something wrong that needs to be impeached, no matter whether I'm a supporter of Muhammadu Buhari or any other one, I will support the impeachment of Mr. President of the Senate if he has done something wrong. And I will gather, my co-senators to profile, resolutions for the impeachment of the Senate President if he has done something wrong.
What is the current party distribution of the Red Chamber?
As of today, if I can remember very well, we have 54, senators.
Are you counting the current gains that you have made from Katsina?
No. Including them, we should have 56.
56.
Yeah.
How many PDP senators do you have?
I know we have two ABGA, and we have 2 ADC. So the remaining one, should be PDP, maybe 49, okay. 48, 49.
So how do you intend to pull up this constitutional means of impeaching the Senate President?
It's not a difficult thing. Senators are senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As a Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sometimes or most of the cases, you set politics aside, you do something that is what is fundamentally, good for this country.
So even with these victories that you've recorded in Katsina and Bauchi, you would have 56 APC senators. That is inadequate yet to get the Senate President impeached. The
impeachment of the Senate President, is it a new thing? Has it not been done so many times in the past? It's not something that is new. When the Senate is not satisfied with the activities, with the actions and inactions of the Senate President, of course the Senate will the senators will sit down and decide. Look, we are not...
the case here, the Senate is not satisfied.
Well, if we are not satisfied, of course, we will sit down and say, hey, whether you are PDP, you are ABGA, you are ADC, you are APC, whatever, sit down, look, is the Senate President, running the Senate as it should be? If it is not, of course, let us look into the infractions, into the impunities, if there are.
So there are infractions. There is impunity.
In democracy,
you're being economical with the truth, distinguished senator.
In democracy, you will not run away from that.
So you consider it an aberration that it is a minority party that holds sway, that presides over the National Assembly currently. Well, specifically the Senate.
Well, but it shouldn't. In the 7th Assembly, both the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President came from PDP, right? Why did they come from PDP in the 7th Assembly? Because they were a majority.
And you also rejoiced when the former Speaker, Honorable Waziri Aminu Tambuwa, defected to the All Progressives Congress, and he held sway as Speaker until the end of his tenure.
Yeah.
So why can't the All Progressives Congress take these current gale of defections in its strides and resort to lobbying these new opposition members rather than resort to
the scenarios are different.
Constitutional or unconstitutional means of impeaching them?
The scenarios are different.
What makes them different?
Good. In 2014, 2015, there was a factionalized PDP. It was factionalized. And the law, the constitution permits where there's a faction, there's an allowed, members to move from one party to the other, from the factionalized party to the party that is not factionalized. So that was the scenario in 2014. In 2018, the scenario is different.
We'll hear how different the scenario is in 2018, but that will be after the break. You're on to Fireworks, your preferred Hard Talk interview program on TBC. My guest today is distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, representing Taraba Central. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. In the last half hour, if you've been following our discourse, we've been looking at events in recent times, characterizing especially the relationship between the executive and legislative arms of government. We've been looking at the workings of the National Assembly in light of the defections and calls to reconvene to consider especially the INEC budget. We're making progress now, this time to look at the point made by my guests just before the break about the scenarios of the defections in 2014 and in 2018. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
You said 2018 is different.
Yeah.
What's different about 2018?
I'll tell you the difference. There is no faction in APC. No faction whatsoever. Unlike 2014, where there was faction in PDP.
But do you deny that there are cracks in the wall of the APC house?
They are not.
So how do you explain the reformed APC, which has been subsumed in this new CUPP? How do you explain that? How do you explain the reservations, strong reservations expressed by Alhaji Kawubaraji?
If you are within a body of an association, if you have misunderstandings, sit down within the body and sort out the misunderstandings and you move forward. They have not. That's why I said the leadership of the party before the convention was a kind of leadership that was not working effectively and efficiently for APC. We now have a new leadership, and they should give that leadership a new attention and then face the new leadership. Look, these are the issues we had with the former with the former leadership of the party. Now you have come. Let us sit down and discuss all these issues that we feel, should apply to bring in a smooth running of the affairs of the party. We shouldn't make a mistake. We should not mix the running of government and then the running of the party and then the running of the parliament. There are three different issues altogether.
Well,
by the minister.
I'm sure some watching you now, distinguished senator, would beg to differ because you're just resorting to semantics to interpret the workings of party and the workings of the government. More importantly, you have not been able to explain away how the reformed APC and the new PDP, which have broken away from the APC, are not factions or problems for the APC, which it was unable to resolve.
I don't want to mention them, but people like Buba Galadima, he has said it. He has issues to sort out with Mr. President, not because that he has issues with the party. So now that new chairman has come in, listen to us. Listen to the new PDP. In the first place, why should there be any new PDP after the new PDP has come into APC? There shouldn't be any new PDP whatsoever. There shouldn't be any new PDP.
This is a big question mark on APC's ability or inability to manage its merger from 2014 till now. Speaking of managing what now? Distinguished, tell us about the invasion of the National Assembly.
Did you see any APC senator there? None. It was a PDP affair. The PDP senators decided to do what they did, and it has boomerang. Fortunately or unfortunately, the DSS allowed itself to be used. That is why the government said, look, you did not get the permission of the government to invade, as it were, the National Assembly. So come and explain.
So why is the leadership of the National Assembly challenging the executive to institute an independent panel of inquiry into this DSS invasion? As far as
I am concerned, this thing has been done. Punishment has been made. I like it. Let the government institute, an inquiry into it, why it's happened, how it happened, and then who sponsored, the happening.
But doesn't it beg the question that the SAT DSS DG will be carrying out a mission contrary to what his boss would have instructed, what the presidency would have instructed?
No.
Why do you say so?
Because it happened in the issue of Magu. Magu was a candidate of the government. I'm coming.
Okay, go ahead.
Magu was the candidate of the government. And then the DSS wrote a report contrary to the expectation of the government. So if everything he's doing for the bidding of the government, it wouldn't have been different. So he has taken his own unilateral decision for whatever reasons, which investigation will be able to bring out.
So whose bidding was he carrying out? Sometime in 2016, when there were raids on the homes of judges, whose bidding was he carrying out? Was it that of the Senate President as well?
Well,
in the refusal to implement court judgments, particularly for the release of the former NSA, Sambo Dasuki, whose bidding was he carrying out?
Now,
I ask yet again, whose bidding was he carrying out when there was a blockade of the Benue State Assembly, during which there was a reported attempted impeachment plot on the government? Was it that of the Senate President or the leadership of the National Assembly?
Why,
in those instances?
Why should it be bidding of the presidency? Why should it be? Why? This is a security issue. From the point of security, is it the bidding of the president? Is it the bidding of the vice president? Is it the bidding of the presidency? No, it's not.
Oh,
so why wouldn't the individual...
So you would rather subscribe to the view that the SAC DG had so much powers in total, that he exercised in total disregard of his boss?
Well, maybe and maybe not, depending on what the investigations will reveal.
Isn't that lame, distinguished senator?
No, it's not lame.
You don't think this is lame?
No.
Why?
Because if Mr. President will have to give him directives, the directives will come through who? Through National Security Advisor. Because DSS is an arm that is reporting to the National Security Advisor.
Are you saying this because you're an APC senator?
No.
And you're loyal to President Muhammadu Buhari, and whatever commentary that will come from here would be a narrative flattering to the image of the president?
No, not at all. I'm saying this because I'm Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and at my age, as an elder statesman of this country, anybody above 60 is an elder statesman. I have a stake in this country by age, even by qualification, more so as a Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I'm saying this not because it should be sweet in the ears of Mr. President. No, I'm saying this for the betterment of this country. I'm saying this, for us to understand that in running this country, there are some agencies of government or leaders of the agencies of government that feel sometimes they can unilaterally take decisions.
In the case of the refusal to implement court judgment, clear abuse of court verdicts, the Attorney General of the Federation has also said, in spite of the court judgment, he cannot be released because of the magnitude of the charges against him.
Well, this is the question for who to answer. Is
that echoing the standpoint of the president?
This is the question for the minister to answer. It is not Mr. President that said.
Distinguished Senator.
No. It is not Mr. President that said.
Because the Attorney General of the Federation cannot be making an independent statement. Any statement he makes, particularly on issues as serious as that, has to be expressive of what the administration stands for.
No,
the Buhari administration in particular.
No, it's presumptive. It is a presumption. Minister is an agent of government, is not a government himself.
But he's representing the government. He was appointed.
That is why I say he is an agent.
He was appointed by the government.
Yes, by the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But must he...
Just as you have made
must the president
statement representative of what you think your government, your arm of government believes in, stands for?
Yes, there are some ideas that this government stands for, which I believe in.
So are you also perhaps inadvertently insinuating that the president has no control that you know, agents of government under him can carry out actions you know, with total disregard to what the president would rather stand for?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But that's the consequence of what you're saying.
No. Just because the president, the agency of government, you know, has done something, that does not mean that there's an explicit directives of the government. They have their own rules and regulations.
The sacked DSS boss was, or is rather, a kinsman of the president. Peradventure, the president had been at home when these series of events occurred. Would the president have taken that decision to sack him?
Which event?
The invasion of the National Assembly.
The president was.
Would the president have sacked Lawal Daura?
Was the president in this country?
That's not the answer to my question. If he had been at home, would he have sacked Lawal Daura?
Why wouldn't he? Who gave the permission for him to be sacked?
Just before we go, tell us about your relationship with your two PDP senators back home in Taraba State.
Very, very cordial. Senator Imabacha is wonderful. We have worked very, very well in the Senate. Senator Shuaibu Lau is also wonderful, Taraba North. So I have no difficulties or any challenge working together with them for the interests of Taraba or for the interests of Nigeria.
Regardless of the party divide?
Regardless of that, yes, we have worked well.
Okay, so how do you intend to work together to deliver Taraba State to the All Progressives Congress in 2019? You will be working across purposes.
No. This politics in Taraba State today, the grassroots support is for APC, it's not for PDP. You know, the PDP government of Taraba is doing a wonderful job for APC because they are not performing. It's a non-performing government in Taraba State. I can say this, even the senators of PDP know that. The government in Taraba is not performing whatsoever.
All right, thank you very much, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, for your time on Fireworks today.
Yes.
Contrary to what many Nigerians believe, Senator Abubakar Yusuf would rather have us believe that there is a harmonious working relationship between the legislative and executive arms of government, and even within the National Assembly itself. And he says there is a clear difference between managing party politics and the workings of government. But where do you stand? It's left for you to make up your mind, even as we bring you more editions on recent events in the country. But that will be same time next week. Thank you for being there on your preferred Hard Talk interview program, Fireworks on TVC. Join us again, same time next week. Remember, there are repeat broadcasts that you can watch if you missed the first edition. They'll be displayed on your screen. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.